So I was thinking about consistency and how so many of us just crave consistency. We all lust for some trust. There's so many transactional situations that I think we're all accustomed to, which don't allow us to reach the two things that we truly want, which is consistency and trust. My understanding of it, and again, this is just an experience of mine and my perspective, I could be completely wrong, I'm just thinking out loud here, as always, but we're all lonely. Let's be real here for a second, right? Every single human being feels more alone now than ever before. And I think that might be for two reasons. Many of us have become a lot more introverted, over the years. Or, since human existence, I guess. But I think it's deeper than that. Perhaps the after effects of COVID have kind of made us this way, or at least exacerbated it. But furthermore, I do feel like many attributes of the 21st century have led to this. A big part being social media, but I think people feel super anxious all the time. That could possibly lead to us just feeling alone. But also, I feel like the sense of community has gone too. It used to be a really big thing once upon a time, right? In most of human existence, but it's just kind of gone down the drain, which is completely fine. I mean, I don't think it's completely fine, but it's understandable. But it sucks to think that people can be in a room full of humans and still feel super alone. And just feel like the company is doing nothing for them. It's dreadful. But anyway, so, in a weird way, there is some benefit to that, but we'll touch on that later. Actually, no, we're not going to touch on it later. While it's on my head, I'm going to talk about it now, because I really forget. But I'm going to make a separate video on this, because I could speak on it for a while, but the side note I wanted to touch on was, I believe because we're all lonely, our capacity to love is generally higher. We don't know how to do it, which is completely... I hate myself for just what happened there. Anyway, our capacity to love is definitely higher. Because we all yearn for this closeness and this place of belonging. Because we're all so alone, but we just don't know how. But once we learn how, boom. I truly believe, from a romantic perspective, of course, and even from a friendship perspective potentially, but I'm speaking more so from a romantic perspective of love. If you can truly learn the ability to correctly love, care, and it's reciprocated, that bond is going to surpass any of our ancestors. But again, I'll touch on that later. And that stems from, just to, solidify the point, but I'll expand on it later. But because we're so lonely and want a sense of belonging, that's why. That's the root of it. Anyway. Lusting for trust and consistency. That's what reassures us, right? That consistency will reassure our heart and mind. That's what we really want. So we can truly feel comfortable, put our feet up, and just feel at peace, feel at home, feel like we belong. That's so hard to do. Because You gotta view it from both sides, right? On one hand, you've got a person who's trying to make somebody comfortable, but that's such a massive risk that they're taking, because can you imagine, like, the leap they're taking? The leap of faith that they're taking? That's scary. You have to understand, if the person they're doing this for doesn't see it, how terrifying must that be? But the other person can't always be to blame in this situation because they've never experienced it, maybe, so they don't know how to receive it or how to react accordingly. So there's so much to dissect in this department, but consistency reassures us, and so does trust. We lust for some trust because we want to feel, again, like we belong. But the consistency will make us feel like, okay, because this is reoccurring, because it's not just a one-time thing, because we're so used to it, right? So many of us are nomadic. You know, we live life on an everyday basis, as Kendrick says, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, okay, I'm grateful for these interactions that I have, but I'm not going to get overly invested in them, which is a fine way to live, don't get me wrong. I don't think you should deep every... Because, of course, there's beauty in all of them, so you shouldn't feel the need to overly invest in every single interaction that you have with every human being ever. But if that is limiting you, and if you never do it, you're truly closing the door on so many opportunities with great people. And with regards to trust, it's a core pillar in any relationship, be it platonic or non-platonic. Trust allows you to feel like, okay, yeah, this person, I can really receive what they're saying, you know? Oh my god. Because if you don't trust what they're saying, or trust what they're feeling, then you can't really internalize and truly process and receive the actions and thoughts, because you'll always second guess it, right? But that's, that's very specific to the aspect of, you know, loneliness and the dynamic that I'm speaking on. Obviously, trust has more than just that purpose in any kind of bond. But specifically, when it comes to reassuring somebody, trust is super important. Guess that comes with credibility and sincerity. So for consistency, it's about taking the leap of faith in many instances, you know? But also maintaining it. Because to initially be consistent is hard. But then to consistently do it, again, like maintain it. Oh my god. Oh! That's tough. And then with regards to trust, there's so much that trust allows you to do. It allows the message to hit home. I guess you could say trust is like the liquor. It allows you to feel it, you know? Really hit. And you've got the Martini of Reassurance that you're trying to build, right? And in the Martini of Reassurance, you need the liquor, or the alcohol, which is trust. And then you've got the olive juice, because dirty martinis all the way, right? I don't even drink, but you know, you gotta give me credit here. The dirty martini, the olive and the olive juice. That would absolutely be consistency. Now, the reason this is important is because when you don't have these things, we touched on the leap of faith part with regards to consistency, it becomes transactional then. Now, for many people, that's okay. And actually, when I was studying from a psychology perspective about the dynamics of relationships, an aspect of it is transactional for some people, and they're okay with that. They don't mind it. But for many, including myself, I don't know. Sometimes I feel as if transactional makes it seem like a massive business venture. It doesn't seem as genuine. Now, I do believe there has to be some tier of consideration and effort. Maybe not always equal, but genuine enough. So neither person in a relationship feels like, they're being screwed over. You don't want that. But it also feels like you're being respected and you're being cared for, and the person actually wants to do it, not out of obligation or, basic maintenance, but actually because they want to do it. But then again, actually, you know what? Again, I'm thinking out loud. Isn't that where reciprocation is, though? Or am I tripping here? Because reciprocation, in essence, is wanting to do something for somebody because they've done it for you so many times, right? Maybe not in the exact same way, but I don't know. See, now sometimes I feel like when I speak on this, maybe I'm not giving the person who I perhaps have a romantic interest in, or a friend, or a family member, or whoever, maybe I'm not giving them a fair chance. I'm not saying I personally do it, but now if I'm thinking about my own words, we don't want it to be transactional and we want it to be genuine, but then we also want it to be reciprocated, you know what I mean? So like, how do they win? It's like we put them in an impossible spot. I do ultimately believe, though, that when you do these things, and you do go out of your way to ensure that you are being consistent, and you are trustworthy, that will absolutely reassure someone, and that reassurance martini hits. You're both drunk off love, and life is good again. So don't be transactional. Put in the effort that's necessary, but also put in effort that is just beyond, exert yourself a little bit. So that the person knows. I feel like somebody can feel it when you've gone out of your way for them. And it makes them not only feel special and super happy. If they're a very considerate person, it'll make them appreciate you in a completely different way. And it'll make them want to go out of their way naturally to do that for you if they're a decent human being, Now you could say that's not sincere, it could be transactional, but not always, no. Sometimes when somebody does something really nice for us, it sticks with us and we want to do something nice for them. And I think that's a very natural reaction to have, but not out of the sake of, oh, okay, they did it for me, so I want to do it for them, but more like, this made me feel so good and so happy that I want to do the same for them. And that's it. That's how we move. I'm hoping this made sense. If it didn't, that's my mind. It doesn't make sense, but I'm saying it out loud. Hopefully somebody got something from this, and hopefully some of you guys relate. I don't know. I'm just putting it into the internet, man. You guys do with it what you will.